Welcome along, we're here for Formula Aero Tier 2 at Season 2, and we're here for Round 1 at Monza. I'm your lead commentator from last season, Leopold, and alongside me today we have the runner-up from last season's championship, ST. How's it going today, ST?
Good, how's it going, guys? First race of the season, and we'll see what happens today.
And already we're seeing wet weather for qualifying, full wet. At the start of this qualifying session, I think I'm a little bit too happy about that right now. But we're going to see a lot of challenge for these drivers, as it's definitely a bit too wet for them. And I wonder how many people are already crying in the Discord chats about this.
Back and UFC drives out. The first one to try and set a lap here.
I think it's not going to be the first one to try. I think it's going to be the first one to survive doing anything today. With the weather as it is, who's going to go a little bit deep into Turn 1 on their runs, and Jack NUFC already showing the complete wrong way. Take Turn 1. We've got a few new drivers on the grid today. We've got Lucas Spurs. He wasn't here last season. We've got Rolfie. We've got Peter Bot-Hun, Bluefoot. And for the first time in Formula Aero, our league owner, RB Gaffo, is going to be run alongside everyone else for this qualifying session. As we see Jack NUFC already getting a little bit squirrely on the throttle out of that second chicane. Doing a bit more than squirrely on the throttle there. He's trying to use all the track and a bit more as one of the Williams, I think, Is That Me? Who's coming down to Tier 2 just for a race this weekend, just to see a little bit of extra practice, since we have a race on Wednesday for Tier 1, the first race at Monza of the season there as well. And I think already a few people struggling on their outlaps in these conditions. And you've driven in the wet in this league. ST, how do you think it's going to affect these drivers going for their qual laps?
Well, we had rain in Brazil and Australia, and it went good for me, but I don't know about some drivers here. But we'll just see how it goes.
Yeah, and we're on board with Rolf. Is that me or Rolfie? I think we've got a issue with the timing tower here. I think we're on board with Rolfie, who's taking the first corner here in Monza, and already a little bit deep on the brakes, a little bit squirrely on traction. And I think this is going to be a lot of people trying to run a bit heavier on fuel, get a bit more experience in these conditions, because I don't know about UST, but I've not driven in the wet around here yet.
Yeah, well, I just always try to get to know how the track conditions are, and just trying to set as many laps as possible.
Yeah, Is That Me? 29 in the first sector. Through the middle sector, he's still looking to be struggling a bit, but a lot of these drivers, with their prep being in the dry, will struggle a bit for these first couple laps, trying to find where the limit of that grip is. As
Jack NUFC has already invalidated.
I don't think that's a surprise to anyone so far, but Is That Me? It's held on quite nicely through this lap, as the timing tower has fixed itself. Hasn't been anything super impressive, but it's certainly been within the track limits. He's going to be the first driver to put a time down to show us the benchmark. But we don't know how the conditions are going to go, as he keeps it tight out of the parabolica onto the main straight. He comes out with his first lap. It's a 33.4 for him. Phase Monkey goes a little bit faster, with Jack NUFC struggling so far. Rudy, the player next across the line, he's kept it mounted. It's a 35 from Rudy. Next up is Peter Bot. Where's he going to go? He goes third with a 33.9. Shano comes across the line, newly on no traction control, I heard. He's done a 33.1, impressive lap from the Irish driver. As I think we've got next up across the line is Pumba. 33.9 for Pumba, 33.4 for MH. Would have had a nice little tow there. Rudy, the player, slots into P8 as Bluefoot comes out of nowhere. Sets a very good lap to be P3. Ollie 1G, who was one of the ones we expected to have some good potential last season. He's going to come across the line, and as was last season, ends up at the bottom of the pile. Lucas Spurs coming across the line in the V-Carb. He goes in the Williams, sorry, he goes P6 for the time being. And the league owner, 1014 middle sector, he's on good pace right now. Across the line, P6 for him in the Ferrari. And finally coming to conclude a lap, Hotshot Hippo shoots himself in to P11 as it stands. We have just a couple more drivers on laps. Jack NUFC might get a little bit of a tow off the back of this Williams. I believe that might be Is That Me, who is staying out. Is That Me across the line, no improvement. Jack NUFC up to P10. How is Rolfie doing? It's not the most competitive lap thus far. His teammate isn't on one right now. He's going to be going again as it stands. Rolfie, next driver across the line through the Parabolica, struggling on that limiter grip we're going to have out there. He comes across to finish his lap. And it's P13 and 14 blocking out the 7th row of the grid, our Mercedes, as it stands. But we've got a few drivers out there who are yet to put some decent efforts down. Looking at the likes of MXTSMI, who God knows what we're going to call him this season. But he's hoping to put on display for us all. Ollie 1G, he's got the battery recharged and he will be going again. A 38 on a lap with no battery. Obviously you have to push it regardless around this track. No room to let your tyres cool off, because I think everyone now is just waiting to go for their second laps. Shano and Gaffo are pretty close to each other on track now. Maybe Ferrari trying to practice a little bit of that tow. Even
We
a
have
small distance.
Bluefoot with a purple first sector.
Let's keep on
And
top
we
of that.
see Chase, Monkey, MH, and Will Gomez switching to intermediates.
It's all about when that time is, as Bluefoot nearly into the gravel as he keeps pushing on this set of wet tyres. How much is the rain slowing down? It does look to be a bit lighter than at the start of the session. Bluefoot a second up on his lap as it stands, and I'm sure only more to be found. As our next car across the line is one of the Mercs. Really, the player goes P10, but we're watching now. Bluefoot powering down the back straight towards the Parabolica. How brave is he going to be on the brakes? Looked pretty good. And now just rolling the car out of the Parabolica to finish what has been a very solid lap, but it's definitely looking close to Winters now. He comes across the line. It's a 1.5 second improvement to go fastest. A 1:31.9 from Bluefoot. Ollie 1G is invalid. Rolfie definitely not on the lap as it stands. And MXTSMI is coming to end his middle sector, and he's purple as well. Coming through the end of that middle sector, I think there's a Ferrari spun out in front of him. And it might be Shano, who got stuck on track as one of the Ferraris is round in the final corner and looks to be crossing the line. It's Gaffo up to P2. Things spicing up as the track dries up a bit, and as people start to think about a gamble on Inters. The Aston Martin of Hotshot Hippo comes across the line, doesn't seem to have improved his position. Where is the other V-Carb going to go, though? It's only P5 as it stands. Not quite what we were expecting. As now we're going to get a look at where people are thinking on tyres. We've got FaZe Monkey, Is That Me, MH, Pumba, Peterbot, Jack NUFC, Real Gomez, and Ollie 1G all looking at that intermediate tyre, and a few guys just going out there and continuing these full wet runs, which is not a bad idea. As soon as you get temperatures into a set of wet tyres, that's where you can find some pace. Hotshot Hippo's currently down on his lap. Shano, I'm sure, going again. I don't actually think we have anyone really on a competitive time right now.
MH is the first one on the intermediates who will try to set a lap on them. So we'll see how his lap goes.
Going on board with MH's. His traction control clearly working harder than he is at the moment to get him out of the Parabolica. And down the main straight, front tyres not looking the most up to temperature, so we got a yellow flag in Sector 2, might just be slow drivers on
That is a
straights.
Ferrari.
Into turn 1 he goes, and it looks very nice and neat through there. And looked like some decent pace through there, and now rounding the Curva Grande down towards the worst chicane on the calendar. And I'll say that it's worse than the final chicane at Japan because it is, and it's a half-second improvement and a purple sector for MH. If there's time for intermediates, the time is now. He comes now towards the middle sector. How's he going to do through the Lesmos? Through Lesmo 1. Held pretty nicely. What about the second Lesmo? How much is he going to be able to use of it? And he keeps it very nice and neat within the track limits, as in the background. And that's Phase Monkey probably going off on his attempt at an inter. What's the time at the end of the middle sector? He's 1.7 seconds up. He is showing everyone it's time for inters, and it'd be crazy to still be out on a set of slicks as MH. He invalidates his lap time. We're going to try and see if Phase Monkey is still valid. So how's he getting on his lap? He had a little bit of a mistake out of the second Lesmo, but surely the pace still there as the car looks just that much faster now. Onto the main straight, he's going to pick up a little toe from the McLaren, and he instantly goes fastest, even with other mistakes in his execution. Real Gomez is next across the line. He's a second and a half up at least now. He goes up to P3, a 32-1. As he comes across the line, the two Mercs getting ready to do laps here as Pumba on the intermediates is on some decent pace and will have another bit of toe towards the line. And Pumba 0.6 faster than anyone else has set. Jack NUFC comes across the line. He goes P2. The icon from last season, second place as it stands. But is that me coming across into P4? As we look around for the next driver to come across the line, I believe it's going to be Phase Monkey's teammate, still on the full wet tyre. He goes P2. It's not quite decided on the tyres yet. Next up is Peterbot, but he's 2.7 seconds up, and he goes to the top with a 30.1. The lap times falling every second here in Monza, as MH seems to have taken a few liberties on track limits. 8 seconds up at about on pace for the dry time, from what I saw. Trying to see next across the line might be Ollie 1G to set a representative lap. Ollie's a few seconds up as it stands. But is he going to be able to make it on this intermediate tyre? He crossed the line. It's P7 in the McLaren. It's exactly what he needed from this weekend. He needed some confidence to build. Next up, Real Gomez. He's not on a good lap as it stands. And then we've got Gaffo in the Ferrari, looking for some pace. Rudy the player and Rolfie both on representative laps right now in the Mercedes pairing. Rolfie comes across the line. It's P10 for him. Next up is his teammate. Got a few cars working together in that final corner while the Haas is pulling into the pit lane. That must be Jack Newcastle FC. Rudy the player across the line. It's P3 for the Mercedes driver, newly promoted from Aston Martin. It's exactly what they needed. And finally, the other V-Carb's going to pull into the pits with 4 minutes 30 to go as Shano starts his lap. And who's going to stick out there on a used Inter? And who's going to come in for a fresh one? Across the line for Bluefoot, it's another 7/10 found. And now, ST, how do you think these times are going to fall from here? Because right now it looks like it's anyone's game.
I think we're gonna see 1 to 2 seconds time drop. It's just who can set a lap the latest now, and it's going to be very, very exciting who's going to get pulled.
Yeah, Hotshot Hippo's coming towards the end of his lap. Whether he's boxing or staying out, I don't know, because he's all over the grass on the inside of Parabolica. He crossed the line. It's P6. Next across the line is going to be Gaffo. He comes in and he goes P2 as it stands. A 29.7 for Gaffo as times continue to tumble. Next across the line is Pumba, who goes up to P2 for the moment. Rudy the player, both Mercedes are coming into the pits. Looks like at the end of this lap.
Shano's the next across the line.
Yeah, Shano
1.7 seconds up.
Yeah, definitely more time in that Ferrari for Shano as he slides his way around Parabolica almost painfully. He's going to come towards the line now. Where can he put that Ferrari? It's up to P6. It's a respectable position. Both Ferraris in a good spot. MH is going to start his next lap now, and what could be his penultimate flying lap, really, or his final one, depending on how quick he is. Bluefoot starting his probably final flying lap here as well. A lot of drivers to keep an eye on as Ollie 1G is on a valid one. Doesn't look the quickest. As it stands, a few drivers pulling into the pits at this point. It's very late to pull into the pits and do a quick tyre change. Our next pace across the line is going to come from Ollie 1G, one of the newcomers. After last season, he jumps up to P6 and the times are toppling at this circuit.
I hope we don't see a repeat of Monza 2019.
It's always a possibility. I think our next guy across the line might be Is That Me? At least on a competitive time, as that Ferrari on the back straight was driving very, very slowly. And this has to be it for Is That Me. He's not got the fuel to go again, and he pulls into the pits. That Is That Me's qualifying over now, as I think we're now just going to have to wait for everyone to be starting their laps. I think MH is going to be the first across the line for these final runs. He's 3.5 seconds up on his PB. He could go top of the board here quite easily. Could the Kick Sauber stand in as he comes to the line? It is a 28.8 for ST. Next is going to be Peterbot and then Bluefoot, who is half a second up. What can Bluefoot do? He goes faster still. It's a 28.5 for Bluefoot, as I think we've got Shano coming to start his final lap now. Is FaZe Monkey that late V-carb? No, he's not. Real Gomez is a 1.4 up. Coming through the middle sector, this could put him somewhere decent. But the times are toppling and there are a few drivers that might struggle here. It's a 30 flat for Real Gomez. Ollie 1G is about to start his final effort here, as now we wait for all these results. Jack NUFC is going to be starting his. Both Mercedes, and I think one of the Ferraris as well, of Gaffo, is in that little gaggle of cars, and he's 8/10ths up. As it stands, this could be a very competitive lap from the new Ferrari driver. Where does this put him? It is a 28.4. Gaffo provisionally is on pole here in Monza. FaZe Monkeys on an invalid effort. MXT on a very decent effort as it stands. Hotshot Hippo is going to be racing towards the line now to start his final effort, as I think Peterbot is too. And I don't think Hotshot Hippo is going to make it. We're going to watch on board with the driver. Is he going to be able?
Shano's purple through sector 2.
Hotshot Hippo's not made it to the line. Peterbot comes across the line. It's a 29 flat for him. He jumps up the order. Bluefoot is not on a competitive effort right now. What about MH? He's out of this session. Shano was on a purple sector. What can he do through this final sector? How much battery does he have left? He crosses the line. It's a 28.1. It's a Ferrari 1-2 in Monza as it stands. But both McLarens still going. Ollie 1G on a competitive effort as it stands. His teammate Real Gomez not really looking at any sort of time. What can Ollie do? Can he displace the Ferraris? No. He goes P6. Next across the line is going to be Lucas Spurs. It's a 29.8 for him, as we're just waiting to see who else is on a lap here. Jack Newcastle FC is coming through the final corner now. He's going to cross the line. P7 for him. Rudy the player and Rolfie. Rudy's on an invalid lap. Rolfie cannot improve. The last driver across the finish line is going to be FaZe Monkey, at least on a competitive effort. What can he do? He skyrockets to pole, displaces the Ferraris, and as Sebastian Vettel did in 2008, the Toro Rosso V-Carb team is on pole in Monza. Gaffo not on a representative effort. That is it for qualifying. And we will join you all back here for lights out. And we're back getting ready for the race to begin. Drivers line up on the grid in what looks like not an ideal set of conditions, but it looks a hell of a lot drier than the qualifying session. We hear these little beeps signifying the start of the race approaching, and we're going to be getting ready for 5 red lights here in Monza, and it's lights out and away we go. FA2 Monkey with a great start on the front row. And from P2 it looks like Shano with a good start. A bit of contact in the back to Ferrari, still 1, 2 and 3. Into turn 1 they go. Bluefoot trying to take a look up the inside as the Ferraris go wheel to wheel. 3 wide in the midfield. And there's a spinner at the back. One of the Williams is around. As we are green again. Lucas Spurs is backwards. Is That Me is also fallen back as well. Rolfie still quite good. MH in P5 ahead of Peterbot. But it's FA2 Monkey who's managed to solidify his lead. MH looking to gain some positions, and he's round in the background. MH is backwards at the second chicane, and Shano has dropped positions as well. A bit of an accident in that second chicane now. And as we come on to the back straight here, Gaffo is trailing FA2 Monkey by a second. Bluefoot's managed to get up into third, followed by Shano. Pumba, Hotshot Hippo, and Jack Newcastle FC staying out of trouble. Both Mercedes off the back row, gaining positions. Is That Me is making an effort to get past them. Pumba all over the back of Shano here, who seems to be struggling off this race start with tyres. Peterbot and Rolfie wheel to wheel as there is a yellow flag towards the back again. And Rolfie very wide as it looks like there's going to be a mega little scrap towards the back. Lucas Spurs and Peterbot wheel to wheel into the final corner. Can Lucas Spurs hang it around the outside? He can for the time being. And there's already wing damage on Rolfie. Ready to play it into the pits. And Jack Newcastle FC and Hotshot Hippo wheel to wheel towards turn 1. Can Jack Newcastle FC get down the inside? He can. Holds it there, going round the outside of turn 2. Losing the rear of the car a little bit. But they're still going to be side by side. The Aston Martin and the Haas all the way down through the Curva Grande and towards that second chicane. But Jack Newcastle FC backs off. Is that going to open the door for Real Gomez? It doesn't look like it for now. Shano's had a horrific start. Go ahead, ST.
Rudy's gone on softs.
On softs?
Yeah, we have 2 soft starters, Rolfie and Pumba, and now Rudy, all soft, and Pumba has gone off track.
Just hold on a second, ST. Gaffo could have took a little bit of a look at FaZe Monkey. He is all over the back of the V-Carb driver as Bluefoot, Gaffo and FaZe Monkey start to streak away with this race. As Shano's managed to regain his P4, and in the background, a few drivers going wide. I'm surprised we've not seen more penalties than that. We go down the back straight. Real Gomez and Jack NUFC now having a little go at each other as Real Gomez gets through quite easily on the Haas driver. Now it's Gaffo's turn. What can he do? DRS down the main straight. Doesn't look to be gaining too much. Is there going to be an opportunity to dive into turn 1? No, it's just that little bit too far back as Rolfie speeding in the pit lane. Unfortunate for him as our 3 leaders, Linus Stern, Real Gomez and Hotshot Hippo, very close on track and touching each other out the first chicane. They're going to be wheel to wheel now again through the Curva Grande, and I think Is That Me is going to try and make that move as well on Jack Newcastle FC. As we get that horrible on-board shot for a second from the directors. Is he going to look down the inside? Not quite. The chances. MH and Ollie 1G wheel to wheel through the chicane. MH all over that curb you do not want to touch. Is he going to be able to make it through? Not quite. And it's been a great start here in Monza for everyone. As Is That Me is finally clearing. Jack Newcastle FC, who I think might have made a mistake.
We have Mercedes doing Ferrari strategies. Rolfie also going on softs again after his pit stop.
I mean,
Both Mercedes going on soft.
I think both of them got wing damage on lap 1, which was unfortunate for them. But Gaffo now, great exit from that final corner. He's going to stand a chance here towards turn 1. What's he going to be able to do? DRS, and however much battery he needs, he's going to look to the outside. He switches to the inside, and he's deep into turn 1. Straight over the chicane. And has to be careful to slow that down enough, and he loses the position to the Red Bull as well. Catastrophe is the VSC deployed. And I'm sure that's going to mean absolute carnage at the first chicane for about 10 cars together at that point. We look towards the back. I don't actually see what this is for. Did someone maybe make a mistake and just lose their rear as Pumba pulls into the pits again for the second time this race? I'm sure Shano would love a safety car right now, get himself right back in with his teammate. But we have a quick moment. Take a look at the tyres. Jack Newcastle FC, MXT, and Is That Me? Medium starters. Rolfie and Rudy on the softs. Pumba just switching to a set of mediums now for a second stop already. As Peterbot picks up a drive-through for speeding under the VSC and loses out quickly with having to brake as Lucas
Restart
Spurs.
from FaZe Monkey.
Yeah, Lucas Spurs has also gained a lot on that restart as in the background Peterbot off the track battling with one of the McLarens as MH now. We're taking a look on Ollie 1G towards the back. Yeah, they are wheel to wheel towards this final corner. Who's going to be slightly braver on the brakes? It is going to be
Easy
Ollie.
move.
It's a good
Easy move for Bluefoot.
And Bluefoot
takes
does
the
take
lead.
the lead. It's not what they needed. Is Gaffo going to be able to get back onto these guys now as Bluefoot looks to try and maybe storm away? It's very hard here at Monza to do that. I think Pumba made a mistake and he is a little bit all over the place as I see him going into that second chicane. But he is going to be a lap down after 5 laps. Not exactly the most ideal thing as Pumba miles wide in front of the leader. That is going to be a distraction and a half as he'll receive the blue flags now and gives Bluefoot a lifeline with the DRS now. As is Pumba going to pull out the way? He's not pulled out the way. He gets grass on his tyres, but nicely through Ascari, to be fair. Pumba showing he can have some pace. Getting through Ascari nicely, but I wouldn't be too surprised if he was going to get a blue flag penalty at this point, having only just let the leader through. Lucas Spurs picking up a 3-second penalty as we get it settled down a little bit. What can FaZe Monkey do now? On the clap back on the main straight. I think it's actually quite lucky. Bluefoot not getting the DRS and FaZe Monkey getting a mega toe on the main straight, on the brakes into turn 1, gets the car flicked over the first curb, a little bit of contact into his rear end. And FaZe Monkey Regains the position, but Bluefoot is going to be looking to take that back immediately off Bluefoot, off FaZe Monkey, and immediately wheel to wheel towards the second chicane, and Bluefoot consuming a bit more battery to keep his lead solid, but I think both of them actually having a little struggle on battery. And a great point of view to watch this all from is Pumba, who is still making a mess of this for the leaders. He is almost certainly being investigated after the session for this, as Pumba's going to get DRS. Is he going to go? Because why not for the jokes? Is he going to go for a move on Bluefoot? No, but he's going to cut Ascari miserably in the process, and finally I think conceded his position to the leaders.
Real Gomez is very close to Hotshot Hippo. He could try a move on this finish line.
I think he might go before then, because he is right on the rear of Hotshot Hippo, who goes extremely defensive, and Real Gomez lifting off actually, letting
and
Hotshot
that's a
Hippo
chance for
position.
Lucas Spurs.
Yeah, and Real Gomez is miles wide of that final corner. Is there going to be any opportunity for Lucas Spurs? I think maybe Hotshot Hippo could lose 2 on this straight. Real Gomez, no battery, neither Lucas Spurs, so they're just going to be saving us in the background. MH and Is That Me? Wheel to wheel and a clean and easy pass for MH, who gets it nicely stopped into turn 1. Time being, Pumba picking up another 3-second penalty. And at this point, more of a nuisance than anything to these leaders, as he goes a mile wide. I might just come out to help Gaffo, who may just get a little bit of DRS here and the chance to get himself back into this race, as Rolfie gets another 10-second penalty. Peterbot retires in the pit lane. I wouldn't be surprised if Rolfie was in that same sort of mindset as it stands. FaZe Monkey still right on the back of Bluefoot, these two looking like definite contenders for this race. Is That Me hasn't shown what we might have expected from him, as through Parabolica they come.
Lucas Spurs gets ahead of Real Gomez.
Yeah, and there is a full yellow flag on the track. Is that a full safety car?
That is the safety
maybe?
car.
It's the full
That
safety
is
car, as someone might have retired on track. But Peterbot pulled into the pits. Has Rolfie retired on track? I actually don't quite know, but this is going to be an opportunity for everyone now. You do not want to double stack if you're teammates. It's not the opportunity to double stack. You've got another lap, go around. But the Williams deciding to do it anyway, McLaren deciding to do it anyway, could be crucial for this race.
Rolfie retired on track after turn 1 and 2.
Interesting there. Lucas Spurs out on soft tyres. The rest on a split of mediums and hards. We're just waiting now for the leaders to come around, see what they come on, as Rudy and Jack Newcastle pull into the pits as well. MXT on 2-lap-old hards and racing someone to the pit exit line is Shano, making an unfortunate error, an unforced error. Is that a drive-through I saw for Shano, as I'm going to have to scroll through a decently long list of penalties. It is a drive-through for Shano, as Jack Newcastle and Rudy both on a fresh hard, and this is actually quite good for both of them. They're going to be able to play along here and get themselves back onto the back of this train, as everyone out front surely pulling into the pits. 7-lap-old hards, not what you need here, including RB Gaffo. And all these drivers out in front should have it free and easy. It's who's the quickest at getting their themselves off the clutch. And it looks like it might just stay as is, but only barely, as FaZe Monkey right in front of Gaffo. And the 3 race leaders can come out nicely, and most importantly safely, to everyone else now, as we're going to have this nice little downtime in the race just to reflect. We've had FaZe Monkey, Bluefoot and Gaffo storm away at the front. Shano kind of in no man's land for a lot of this, but picking up a drive-through penalty, which, if you recall, in 2020 derailed the Hamilton's race. Got Lucas Spurs, who's done quite well to gain a few spots, and now on the soft tyres, so he might be able to make something of this middle stint. Had 3 retirements. Rolfie and Peterbot, I believe, both actually retired in the pit lane. I think Pumba crashed himself on track when he retired. We'll have to go back and look at that when the time comes. As someone has been apparently robbed by a pit speed button not functioning. Unfortunate for you guys. Now, just safety car waiting for everyone to catch up. ST, what are your thoughts on the race so far?
Well, it's very interesting at the front. I think Gaffo, Face Monkey, and Bluefoot can win here. And behind, I think Shano, if he does not make any mistakes, should get that 4th place. And behind, although everything can happen.
You think Shano could still get his 4th place with a drive-through?
I
mean, I'd be optimistic saying he could. I mean, there's a lot of people he contended with last year and, at the most part, beat last season. So there's always that chance that he could. But I think it's going to be a struggle for Shano to get back up into the strong point scoring positions where we might have thought he'd be based on qualifying, but everything has changed between qualifying and the race here. A lot of people switching positions, but as we kind of grew accustomed to last year, Rudy the player and Jack Newcastle backing up the grid.
But Jack had a good race. I don't know what happened. He was, I think, in P8, and now he's in P12.
Yeah, it's unfortunate for Haas. One of their drivers out, the other not in the points for the moment. And we're just going to be waiting for these guys at the back, Jack Newcastle, Ollie and Rudy, to catch up to the safety car queue to hopefully get this race underway once again. As everyone's been pretty good under the safety car. I saw a few times last season, a few people did get some penalties under the safety car. And you just don't want to be pushing that hard. The one advantage that Ollie, Jack and Rudy are going to have is they've been putting some work through their tyres just by driving normal laps, so they're going to have up to temperature tyres, as hopefully the safety car just releases late and we're not going to be waiting another lap to get going again here in Monza. But I don't think we get that sort of luck in this league. We're going to be waiting to the end of lap 11, 16 to the end, and it's going to be all about either who's going to extend, which I don't think is possible for anyone on the mediums, but maybe is that me? Could extend a set of hards to the end if he really saved some tyres. And it would be a great result considering his qualifying effort was pretty poor to say the least. But the likes
And
of
Jack texted me that he had a drive-through penalty after the VSC, that's why he's so far behind.
It's very unfortunate for anyone to get a drive-through in one of these races. It's so close. As Pumba has also said, I don't want to talk about that. I think he might be called to the steward's room a bit later on because I think there's a bit to talk about with his driving. As everyone behind the safety car just waiting now to take a peek at tyres. Who's got the warmest out front? It looks like actually Bluefoot might be the warmest, maybe Gaffo. Of the people that could contend. Real Gomez has actually done a very good job here of keeping some tyres in the temperature range, and Lucas Spurs has just been like, nah, I'm going to save every bit of tyre for this restart. He's on hottest tyre 64, so he's going to be an ice cube going to the restart. As the safety car is confirmed in this lap, everyone caught up to the back of the train, and now it's Bluefoot's initiative to keep these guys at a decent pace. Everyone is going to be pulling that weaving pattern down the back straight. A few drivers just saying no to it and banking on cold tyres being good enough as Bluefoot launches very early. He's going to catch the safety car here potentially and have to slam on again. This could be bad, but it's fine. Safety car is in the pit lane, and we go racing as Bluefoot with a terrible exit from the final corner. Gaffo and FaZe Monkey both on the back of him. Shano pulling out his drive-through penalty already. How are we looking out front? FaZe Monkey and Gaffo into turn 1, wheel to wheel. Gaffo around the outside of FaZe Monkey. Is he going to be able to make it stick? There's a bit of contact, and it's still going to be side by side out the corner, but Bluefoot with the dream restart, he's already pulled a decent gap. FaZe Monkey in second, under pressure from Gaffo. Gaffo under pressure from Real Gomez and Lucas. And everyone's staying relatively close as Gaffo looks to the inside of the second chicane, and he makes that move stick on FaZe Monkey. And more crucially, gains on Bluefoot in the process. The rest of the grid remaining relatively stable. But now it's about, can they keep up with Bluefoot and stay with his DRS, because I think if he goes, he is just gone for the moment. Lucas Spurs is all over the back of Real Gomez. On that soft compound tyre is the Williams. Is he going to be able to make a move into Ascari around the outside? He's looking, and there's a little bit of contact. He gets all up on the curb. What can MH do? Now, with the Williams driver being a little bit unfortunate, Shano picking up a 3-second penalty. But MH now, on the inside of Parabolica, is going to take a look. And is he going to be able to make that move stick? He is. Better traction on the exit on that ideal racing line. But it's not over yet, as Lucas Spurs already coming back at the Kick Sauber driver. And Lucas Spurs is going to have the tow. But it's 3 wide now with Hotshot Hippo. Who's going to come out alive from this? There's a little bit of contact. The Williams on the outside in trouble, and Hotshot Hippo has been spun around on the apex and looks to have lost some wing. And in the background, Lucas Spurs and the V-Carb into the wall. And both of them losing out. As Hotshot Hippo
from P9 to P6 because of these accidents.
Is he going to be able to keep it though, as he has to cut the corner a little bit, and there's more contact with Hotshot Hippo, who loses an end plate. And Ollie1G managing just about to keep it alive, as Gaffo has lost DRS more crucially to Bluefoot. This could be atrocious for him, as fortunately for Gaffo, no overtake possible just before Ascari, but Bluefoot running off as Real Gomez makes a little cut of Ascari, picks up a penalty. As Hotshot Hippo in the wall and out, and it's a full
Jack
safety car again.
Jack NUFC is also out of.
And a crash between Hotshot Hippo and on his return, the icon Jack NUFC in the wall. Who's going to think about the stop now? Because this is an opportunity to definitely grab a tyre that'll be able to go to the end. Doesn't look like anyone at the moment. But I know someone who's definitely going to be taking that opportunity to make a stop. It's Lucas Spurs, and Shano surely is going to be pulling into the pits at the end of this lap, trying to get a set of tyres on and drag it to the end.
And that's also good for Shano, because he will be again. I don't know what. It's good for Shano.
Yeah, Shano saved from the demise of his drive-through penalty. And luckily, he's going to be able to survive that. As Jack Newcastle FC blaming Hotshot Hippo there for their crash as we look into the chats. Hyperpole was a 27, I believe. It was a rain-affected qualifying for a 27.9 pole. We just get a question in the chat for pole times. Unfortunate wet qualifying, not really able to give the FA drivers any sort of confidence if their times were good in that qualifying when they watch it back. But surely now we're going to be waiting for these two to drive up to the back of the safety car another lap, both on medium tyres, and both might be able to get them to the end, as a piece of front wing flies off in the background. I'm going to try and see who that was off. That might have been off the back of Is That Me, I believe we're on board with. Losing some front wing.
Shano went on me again and not on hards. I don't know if he can drive through with them.
It depends what he used in qualifying. What he used at the start. I think he started on hard, if I'm not mistaken, and I will look back and double check my notes. He is a hard start.
Yeah, he started on hards. I know that.
Yeah, so I don't think his tyres would have been fine to the end here as the safety car continues on. And a few people shooting themselves in the foot. Anyone up front with mediums have shot themselves in the foot by staying out. Yeah, both of us having the same idea there, trying to stop the arguing and just get them to send in their clip of the incident. Hotshot Hippo and Jack Newcastle not very happy with each other as it stands for that incident earlier on. And if Shano just puts in an absolute qualifying sector right now, we might stand a chance of going racing for lap 16. But I don't think anyone really can make it to the end from here. So we're just going to have to wait and see. Has he been close enough to the safety car for it to come in this lap? And it looks like the answer might be no. So one more lap. Oh, never mind. It's a very late safety car coming in. They're in the final corner as it's called. And now Gaffo is going to be on the back of Bluefoot as he already sends the cars. Racing again in Monza. Who got the best restart? Gaffo better. There's a bit of contact in the background. I think that was one of the McLarens. As FaZe Monkey is going to be having a look. MH is going to be having a look. We might end up 4 wide here, depending on how much straight line speed Gaffo has. Down towards turn 1. Gaffo late on the brakes and he makes contact. He's around. He's backwards in the first chicane. There's a massive contact everywhere else. Real Gomez and Ollie 1G both picking up 3-second penalties. Gaffo taking the escape road and it's a dream restart. There for Bluefoot as Ollie 1G, no front wing. Shano is already up to 6th, but does he have damage? Off this restart, we're going to have to see as soon as we get off this onboard. Ollie 1G struggling to all hell, as Real Gomez there as well. He must have wing damage.
Shano does not have damage.
Shano's wing is fine, so it's great news for the Ferrari driver who's holding on. MH, half a front wing. What does FaZe Monkey have on his car? Is he full front wing? It looks like he might. With the amount of air he's getting. So out front, the 2 drivers we expected to see out front.
And Shano and Real Gomez.
Shano and Real Gomez out. And it's another full safety car. 9 drivers left in this race. And another full safety car has been called out. Anyone who survives, which... funnily enough, this is a track you should have survived on. Whoever can survive this will surely make it to the end and be fine, as everyone seemingly needs to pull into the pits. Lucas Spurs stays out to take the lead, and quite obviously the right move for him. He's not got very old tyres and can save himself a bit of effort. But absolute carnage here in Monza. Is that me and Ollie 1G are getting a little bit optimistic there. Soft tyres on their cars. Rudy switching to mediums. As this race has been a bit exciting, and with my couple weeks out I am already losing my voice, which is how this is meant to go. But Lucas Spurs 20 seconds to anyone else, and his first effort. He's quietly had a decent race, hasn't he, ST?
Yeah, but he has this 6 seconds penalties.
I think
And
even...
that's... My FaZe Monkey now picks up 3 seconds.
under safety car as well. Not what
Just like me in Silverstone.
Yeah, just like ST in the final race, which cost him the championship. With the stout defense you put up. Well, it didn't cost you the drivers, but it cost you the constructors.
Yeah, well, my teammate got
regardless.
the penalty, so...
Yeah, it's unfortunate as the grid all starts to slowly make their way back to being bunched up. I don't think we've got one team with 2 drivers left in the race. 2 teams actually. So VCarb and Williams are the 2 teams that were battling out for the constructors in Tier 1 last season. And now the only 2 teams with both drivers remaining in this race. Shano taken out. Rolfie and Peterbot retiring on their own. We've got plenty of carnage. Real Gomez and Shano hitting each other. Hotshot Hippo and Jack Newcastle hitting each other. Pumba doing God knows what in that race. As everyone seems to kind of fall apart here.
And his safety car is also helping Gaffer again after his mistake in turn 1.
Yeah,
He is now back.
Hotshot Hippo and Shano saying they've clipped the incident. So and Shano sending it to Shano getting sent it by Hotshot Hippo. So thankfully they're not actually arguing about the incident. They've taken it on like adults. But at the end of this lap, the safety car should come in. Everyone's bunched up again, and it's going to be all on Lucas Spurs if he can keep his position at one of the tracks that's easiest to overtake at. And it is safety car in this lap. Lucas Spurs backing up the field now. Getting ready for us to go racing 9 left here in Monza of the 16 starters. Expected a couple more, but they have gone already. One of them left the league entirely, as I saw before. And we wait for the feet to go flat to the floor here. And when is Lucas Spurs going to let them go? Coming through the final corner, he keeps the battery off, and he is just waiting and waiting and waiting. And we're going to see as we hear them accelerating and coming out the final corner. 9 cars still survive, and it's a great restart for Lucas Spurs. Everyone else behind is going to be battling. MXT and MH, the VCarb and Sauber drivers are wheel to wheel. 2 VCarbs having to protect each other. Lucas Spurs keeps the lead, followed by FaZe Monkey and Bluefoot, who are wheel to wheel, and FaZe Monkey gets ahead of that. MH up to P4, followed by MXT. Gaffo in 6th, laying in wait. 7th is that me. 8th, Rudy the Player, and 9th, Ollie 1G. As down the inside of the chicane goes MXT on MH, not able to make the move as it stands. Ollie 1G in the back, 3 wide with Is That Me, Rudy the Player as well. But it's been a dream restart for Lucas Spurs, who needed something to go right in his race today. He's 7 tenths ahead of FaZe Monkey and only pulling away as it stands. Bluefoot is going to be looking to try and attack on his sparring partner, FaZe Monkey. Not able to make the move. MXT gets past MH into Ascari. And as we head down the back straight, Lucas Spurs has already pulled a second. Where has this pace come from for the Williams driver? As we make our way through the final corner now, it looks like everyone's front wing still intact after this first lap. And Lucas Spurs with a gap.
Gets a very good exit, and he goes through an MH even before the finish line.
Great move for Gaffo, but was it too early, or is MH going to be able to make that move back in the background? Rudy the Player, and Is That Me, or wheel to wheel down towards turn 1. Who's going to be braver on the brakes? Who's going to be able to hold it? Is That Me on the outside, which switches to the inside, but Rudy the Player managing to keep that position on Is That Me, but I doubt that this battle's over yet, as FaZe Monkey is actually caught right up to the back of Lucas Spurs. We're going to look in the background though. Is That Me having a look at Rudy the Player, and Ollie 1G trying to take a look down the inside, unable to make anything work there. As we move back to the front, it's everyone down to MH in DRS of each other. FaZe Monkey is going to be the first person to try and retake the lead of this race with much better tyres. 3 laps better, and all of his laps were done under safety car. As we go through Ascari now, Lucas Spurs with a little bit of a cut, and FaZe Monkey really needs to get a wiggle on here if he's going to try and win this race out over FaZe Monkey. Down the back straight they come towards the Parabolica. Some battery saving, I think, going on for FaZe Monkey. As onto the main straight they come. Lucas Spurs takes a nice and tight line here. He's going to have to be protecting his tyres as well. DRS is enabled and it is wide open on the back of the V-Carb and the Red Bull, and both of them are going to be able to take a look at Lucas Spurs as into turn 1 they go. It's an easy move for FaZe Monkey. Lucas Spurs and Bluefoot are making contact, and a lot of contact, and Bluefoot's on the gravel. What's going to be able to go on out of this corner now? MXT looking to get up to second as Gaffo makes his way into fourth. It's going to be wheel to wheel through the Curva Grande for Lucas and MXT. Who's going to come out on top into the chicane on the brakes? Lucas Spurs managing to keep the position, and this is only going to help FaZe Monkey, who needs that 3-second gap. Lucas Spurs still maintaining that P2, which is great on the age tyres that he has. But he's got 3 rapid drivers behind him as Gaffo has a massive slide, and I think that's an end plate gone for the Ferrari driver. More of a gap being made as Lucas Spurs just doesn't seem to have the battery. He's going to be attacked by MXT, and it should be a simple move into Ascari's. MXT with a massive cut on Ascari there, managing to keep the position over Lucas Spurs, but the DRS is going to be powerful if he can stay in that P3 and close enough behind MXT, who's not looking like he's going to get DRS onto the main straight unless he's had a superb run to Ascari through Parabolica, which he's not. So Lucas Spurs, the first person to be able to have a go again at getting back into P2. FaZe Monkey, though, leading on track as it stands. Lucas Spurs into turn 1. He's going to fling his car to the inside and take a look into turn 1. MXT leaving him just enough space, but no move able to be made. As now on the exit, Bluefoot might be wanting to take a look at the Williams driver, but battery saving going on. Is Bluefoot going to take a look down the inside into the next chicane? Not quite, as FaZe Monkey has dropped back into DRS, and Lucas Spurs with a mistake on the exit of the worst chicane in F1 history. He gets his tyre on the grass, he's miles out wide, and Gaffo and Bluefoot get through on the Williams driver. And actually, I was mistaken earlier, it's Bluefoot who has the wing damage, not Gaffo. But out in front, the 2 V-Carbs now just need to really play some DRS games with each other. MXT picks up a 3-second, and this just brings everything back to the 2 drivers behind. These 2 V-Carbs need to start pulling a gap if they're going to stand any chance of winning this race. As apologies for the slight misinput, and MXT goes up the inside of FaZe Monkey. ST is unfortunately leaving me for the rest of the Monkey, though, is going to have the DRS. They're going to be wheel to wheel towards turn 1, protecting the entire track on their own, and FaZe Monkey maintaining this lead here in the background. MH is going to have a great opportunity looking up the inside of Lucas Spurs and around the outside. Wing damage on the kick, and I don't think on the Williams, as they're going to go wheel to wheel through Curva Grande, but it should be a very easy move for MH to keep that position over the Williams, and he has done so. Thankfully for my voice, I get a second to rest here. The top 3 all with penalties. Gaffo needs to get back up right close to them, because this could decide the race. If Gaffo can keep it within that 1 second, within that 3 seconds of the leader, there is a chance as Lucas Spurs gets back past MH. We're watching these 3 out in front, and the 4th just tagging along a little bit behind, who really needs everything to go right for him. We're going to take the gap from the leader now, as we know where this gap needs to be. Penalties. It's 3 seconds for all of the top 3. And MXT now should easily get past his teammate. They're all flashing on the battery, so it should be a simple move just down towards turn 1. Gaffo 2.2 currently behind the lead, but FaZe Monkey defending from his teammate, and Bluefoot given that opportunity as MH very late on the brakes and a little bit over the curb into turn 1, trying to keep himself past that Williams driver, who does seem to still be using a lot of battery, even down towards this next chicane to try and get past MH. Nothing coming of it. Just in the background, is that me on the back of Rudy the player? See if anything can happen, and Ollie 1G has had to take another pit stop, it seems. He's in another postcode compared to these guys. Coming towards 3 to go now. MXT on the back of FaZe Monkey. No move going into that corner as Lucas Spurs gets past MH again. Seems like they're just going to swap positions every straight. MH picks up a 3-second time penalty. Now, does Gaffo have the battery to maybe get within that DRS range? He doesn't look close enough for the battery to matter. As through the final corner they come. Starting lap 25, it's going to be 3 to go when they cross the line. And it's all fair in love and war now between these 4 drivers who are really the ones battling out for the win. Bluefoot looking pacey on the straight. MXT attacking his teammate round the outside of turn 1. And through turn 2 they go. FaZe Monkeys widen off the track. And that has allowed Bluefoot through. Bluefoot into P2. And more crucially, it's allowed Gaffo back into the DRS of this train. Which is not what any of them needed. In this first race, Bluefoot's going to take a little look into that next chicane, not able to make anything of it. And now it's all about who's going to be able to maybe just pull that bit of a gap for the final spot on the podium. Because if one of these can just make a little bit of an advantage, as FaZe Monkey makes a mistake, Gaffo's going to look up the inside of Lesmo too, and he looks to be trying to make that move stick. It's going to be wheel to wheel down towards the Ascari chicane. Fighting it out hard, and FaZe Monkey does look to just get ahead, but he's got another 3 seconds of time penalty now. But this is critical for the race now. They need to keep themselves in good standing, to at least for Gaffo's sake, to keep the race alive, as it's a mile wide for MXT, and this could be strategic though, because now they cross that DRS detection zone and they're all within a second of each other. Onto the main straight they come. DRS for MXT, FaZe Monkey and Gaffo, and MXT cleanly through on Bluefoot into turn 1. Gaffo in the background is going to be taking a little look around the outside. There's no need to fight Gaffo. You know what you're doing. He's done a few league races in his time, and he does just keep himself in that P4 position as it stands. As we are on the penultimate lap of the race now, everyone further behind seems to have spaced themselves out a bit. As these 4 out in front decide to keep themselves as close as possible. FaZe Monkey seems to almost be helping his teammate here, as Gaffo's now 2.4 behind the race leader. This could be protecting a podium for one of the V-Carbs, as Gaffo comes out of Lesmo too, and he needs to go. But FaZe Monkey also just putting his battery on. Bluefoot not taking a look into the Ascari chicane, as there's massive gains from those behind. Gaffo included, as they leave Ascari chicane and they're about to start the final lap of this race. Is it going to be tactical from MXT? It has to be tactical. Through Parabolica they go. MXT needs to be P2 for anything to really work out here, and he's not. He's kept that P1. How much battery does he have in the bank? He's going to have to break the toe down towards this first chicane to just try and do anything to keep this alive. Bluefoot with not enough battery to make anything happen into turn 1 on MXT, who might just be now on path to winning it on track. FaZe Monkey in third now. Needs to make a decision on what he's going to do about Gaffo, because he could just easily drop back another second or so. As Is That Me picks up a massive corner cutting penalty. And we look to have an incident at turn 1. It's MH and Lucas Spurs are not in the best of minds. But now, all that matters is who's going to win this race. Is it going to be MXT or is it going to be Gaffo? The 2 drivers that stand that chance of winning a race for the first time in Season 2. It's going to be a nice tow down the back straight for Gaffo on the back of FaZe Monkey. Neither of them really having the battery. On the brakes into Ascari. MXT, who's fought hard this race, but he's not been up front that entire time. Gaffo, who's been there, but not had that ultimate pace. Who is it going to be as they head into the Parabolica? for the final time, at least on track, it is going to be MXT to come across the line and win for the first time in Tier 2. But overall, it's going to be Gaffo. In his first Formula Aero race, he takes the win in Monza. MXT gets a P2. It's P3 for Blueford, P4 for FaZe Monkey. 5th is Rudy the Player. And then on the line, it is 6th for MH, 7th for Lucas Spurs. Is that me? Coming home 8th. He seems to have a puncture on those soft tyres. That front left is gone. They did not last to the end of the race. So it's going to be Ollie, P8. And Is That Me comes across the line to wrap up what was a brilliant race in P9. And unreal scenes in FA2 as Gaffo takes the win in his Scarlet Ferrari at Monza for the first round of this FA2 season. 2 Irishmen on the podium alongside a Brit. It was an absolutely fantastic race today between all involved parties. And I think we're going to be looking forward to a whole lot more of that as we come through to the rest of the season. Hopefully a few more drivers survive in the races than we had today. But that is it for today's Formula Aero race. We're going to be back next week for round 2, where we're going to be going to Qatar following the F1 calendar. And we'll be back on Wednesday with different commentary for Tier 1, where we're going to see where some even stronger talent are able to put their prowess to use. But that is it for Tier 2. I've been Leopold, and ST was here for a while. We'll see you all in a week's time.